Did you know that the flu can kill? It's not just a heavy cold. Over the last 2 years, more than 18,000 people have died. If you're eligible for the flu vaccine, and you'll find out in a bit, it means if you get the flu, you'll have milder symptoms and you're more likely to recover. So what is flu? Well, it's an acute respiratory infection caused by influenza viruses. The viruses target your windpipe in your lungs. It is very contagious, and it's spread when someone with flu coughs or sneezes. You can also catch it by touching surfaces where the viruses have landed. With the flu, you can have a sudden fever, a persistent dry cough, a sore throat, headache, aches and pains in your joints and muscles, and extreme tiredness, and you might need to spend several days in bed to recover. Is getting flu dangerous? Well, if you're fit and well, you should start to feel better in around a week. If you are older than 65 or have certain long-term health conditions, you might end up in hospital. And the flu can then lead to pneumonia, sepsis, and make any existing medical conditions worse, like diabetes, emphysema, and heart disease. And there is a risk that you could die. It really is that serious. Can you avoid catching flu? The best way to avoid catching flu is by having the vaccination before the flu season starts. If you do get flu after your vaccine, your symptoms are generally milder and you have a faster recovery. The flu vaccine is offered to anyone who is more likely to end up in hospital if they get infected, and it's also offered to people who are more likely to catch it. Remember, you need it every year, so don't assume you are protected because you had one last year. How do you get your flu vaccine? So if you're eligible for an NHS flu vaccine, you can book a flu vaccination appointment at a pharmacy online. You can use the NHS app if you're aged 18 or over. You can find a local pharmacy that offers NHS flu vaccinations. That's where I have mine. Or you can contact your GP surgery to book an appointment. How are the injections given? Adults have the vaccine as an injection into the muscle, normally in the upper part of your arm. How does a vaccine work? So vaccines help the body learn how to defend itself from disease without the dangers of a full-blown infection. The active ingredient is called an antigen, and white blood cells in your immune system produce specific antibodies against it. The antibody attaches to the antigen, and this complex is recognised by different white blood cells, which then destroy it. The recipe for the virus antibody is now stored in your white cells' memory banks. If you are exposed to the real virus, either the flu or COVID-19, your white cells can quickly make lots of antibodies against it. This means that you only have a mild infection. This is much safer than you getting flu without a vaccination. What about people who say the vaccines aren't safe? There are many anti-vaccine stories spread online through social media and podcasts and offline in newspaper headlines. Vaccines undergo rigorous safety testing before being introduced, and they are also constantly monitored for side effects after they've been given. All the current evidence tells us that getting vaccinated is safer than getting the disease. The flu vaccines have been given to tens of millions of people, and they have a good safety record. Vaccines are safe. Have you had yours yet?